I was 16 years old. I had been admitted for general surgery to remove 4 teeth that had grown through the roof of my mouth. I was taken down to the operating room. There were 2 nurses in attendance and an anesthesiologist. All were fully gowned so I could not see their faces. I was sedated. At some point during the surgery, my heart stopped and I stopped breathing. Then I became conscious. I was floating. There was no ceiling or walls. But, there was an arched structure that was possibly a tunnel. I was aware of the light energy being bent around me, although this was not a conscious thought at the time. The light was excessively bright. If I had seen this on Earth, it would have burnt my retinas. But it was the most beautiful light and it did not hurt at all. In fact, I would say it was as soft as it was bright. I did not exist as a body, but was energy. I was an energy that was joined to all other energies, those that had been before and those that will be after. I became aware that we are all just energy and we are all intrinsically linked. I recall no sound. Communication was or would have been via telepathy or just knowing feels more appropriate. There is no human word for how amazing and peaceful this state of being feels. I felt like this earth does not exist, nor does anyone in it. If they did exist, I'd be linked to them via energy because we are all one. This place was familiar, like I had been here before. I may have even come from here. I did not want to come back, but was made to come back. I felt myself being pulled back to the operating room. I did not want to come back. I did not want to leave that perfect feeling. I was then on the ceiling of the operating theater, looking down on the proceedings. There were more people in the room. I could see a girl fighting with them as they tried to bring her back to life. The machines would bring her back with a shock and then she'd kick and punch at them. Then the machines would show her still and lifeless form again. I recall thinking she was a rude and bad girl. I saw her punch a nurse in the face and sprain another nurse's wrist. I realized the girl was me when I was no longer separate from her. I recalled nothing until I woke up the next day. I asked if I had died and was told someone would come to talk to me. Nobody came to talk with me. Then there was a nurse who came onto the ward and I asked, "How is your wrist?" She said, "Still sore." "How did you know about that?" I said, "Well, I did it. I saw myself." She replied, "You're right, you did." We talked some more and she confirmed that I had to be resuscitated midway through the surgery. Since that time, no watches would work on me. My heart rate has been erratic. This experience caused me to become exceedingly empathic, picking up on others' feelings and fears. I have had 3 of 4 clear premonitions, but on the whole, I know stuff about people, their motivations and intent. I know what is missing from files and information. So much so, that others question how I can know this stuff on a regular basis. Either shortly before or shortly after this experience I attempted to kill myself. I can't quite remember the timing. I was told not to talk about it, so I tried to bury the experience for many years. My mother asked me, while heavily sedated and on her deathbed, if heaven existed because I told her I had been there. I found this odd, as it was not something we talked about and she frowned upon it as she was a devout Christian. I told her it would be whatever she believed it to be and it would also be better than anything she could imagine. My father asked me on his deathbed, if it was his choice when to die. I told him it was his choice and he died within 10 minutes after that. At the time of his death, he was clearly having silent conversations with entities I could not see in the room. I had gone to check on him. I thought I heard him and my partner having a conversation. My father was the only one in the room. My partner was asleep in another room. The second person was nowhere to be seen. Yet my father was awake. We had been told he probably had a few months to live. However, I knew I had to stay awake that night. I was aware of my grandmother's death prior to it being called. My grandmother subsequently visited me after her death in 1979 when I was 10 years old. After my NDE incident, I had a vision of my grandfather who died when I was 2 years old. I was able to fully describe the house that he lived in and other family members who were by then deceased. I was aware of my grandfather's death prior to us being contacted about it.